Okay. In the last class we covered till modules, right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Yeah. So I'll start with the templates today. Basically in Angular, right? So since in from our first class we're looking at Angular components as like they consist of three things, right? One is the template and CSS, and then the your business logic or the TypeScript code. So one of those three things is templates. Okay. So the template URL we have in the component directive is a template. Okay. So basically your template is very big. That's the reason you're keeping it in a separate file. And then we are giving that configuration here. Okay. In the component we are telling, okay, find the template here. And we are giving the template path. If your component HTML is smaller or little simple, then what you can do is you can basically, instead of template URL, you can just put template here, and then in this backcodes you can have your HTML. So both cases, what we are doing is we are basically giving the template. Okay, you're providing the template for that component. Okay, so so that is the main thing. Okay, so basically every component is associated with some template, or like each template is basically a part of component in Angular. Now apart from this configuration, giving template URL and giving the template HTML, there are other directives offered by Angular, which are like ng template and ng content, um, and ng container. Okay, these three directives offered by Angular. Now let me go to this different website, right? So Medium website. So here we'll cover these three directives. So what we can do, and like with these things what we can achieve. Okay, so using ng template, basically you can put some HTML inside it, and you can basically assign some name or some variable name, and then you can reuse it across your application. Okay, wherever you need. If you see this simple example, this is just a simple HTML. It's a div tag, and here we have ng if for this div, and I think we already saw this syntax, right? So first is the condition, and if this condition doesn't match, or if this condition returns false, then in the else section you'll have else keyword here. In the else section you can show basically a different template. So why we gave this template name here? If you go here, right, so this is your ng template, and ng template syntax will look like this. Okay, opening tag ng template, and then followed by some the hash. Okay, and then some variable name. Okay, it doesn't have to be this one. You can give ABC also, doesn't matter. So that name you have to give. It's basically assigning a variable name. Okay, just like let a equals 20. Okay, a is a variable name, right? The same way, if you give hash and then followed by some name, then that will become a variable reference for this entire template. Now, because we gave this name here and we are giving the same name here, so what will happen is, let's say this condition is false. Okay, this is anyhow hard coded as false, but assume that there is a different expression here and that return false. So in that case, instead of displaying this, it will go to the else part, and the else part what we have, we're telling Angular, if this condition is false, then show this template. Okay, directly it will go to this template and show this content there. Okay, it will remove this tag, and then it will show this content. Okay, should be displayed. If you put this to true, or if you change this to true here, or this expression returns true here, and then this part will be executed. So basically it's like our regular if else condition. If this is true, then show this content. If this is false, then go to else section, and else section is here. Okay, you don't have to write else section in this here. Okay, you can write anywhere in your template, anywhere, but only thing is the reference name must match this name. So in that case, it will go to that template and then it will display the name or the message what you want to display. Okay, so this is how you use ng template. And ng template basically you can basically get reference of this template variable, and you can basically do a few other things also, but we'll see that in examples. Okay, so this is where we use ng template, and ng template basically doesn't get rendered by default. That means, let's say if you display this div, and that div will be rendered in the browser. That means it will be executed in your browser, right? But if you put anything in ng template and close the ng template tag, then whatever you put inside the tag will not be displayed in the browser unless until you use something like this. Okay, here we are telling Angular that use this template here. Okay, that is the reason this will be rendered only if this condition is false. Let's say if this condition is true, then it will not be rendered. Okay, and forget about this condition. Okay, let's take another scenario. You just have some ng template here, and you're not using anywhere else in your template. That means you're not using this variable anywhere else in your template. Then what will happen? Angular will not render this one ever. Okay, it will not render at all unless until you use it and tell Angular explicitly to show somewhere, then only it will basically use this ng template. Okay, by default, if you put this ng template tag and write anything in under the tag, it will not get rendered. Okay, so that is the basically use of it. So where we'll use these kind of scenarios, okay, where we'll use, okay. Let's say logged in, okay, you want to show some message to user. So that time what you can do is you can say if a user is logged in, okay. If that field or that variable is true, then it will that username, welcome username, or it will go to the else part. In the else part, what we can show the login button here. Instead of showing welcome user, we can show login button. That means user did not log in yet. Once he clicked on that button, it will go to the login page and user will log in. And then once user is logged in, this will become true. And because it is true, we'll show user is welcome user. Okay. So that is one scenario where we'll use this thing. The other scenario is, let's say you have a table. Okay, you have a student table, and you open that page. Okay, where you are showing the student table. Let's say that student records are empty. Okay, we don't have any single student in that class. So in that case, what we can do is we can check if student list size is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then show the table here. Okay, you can have the table here. If it is not if it is not greater than 0, or that means if it doesn't have any students in the list, then go to the else part. In the else part, what you can show is you can show a big image or big banner and say you don't have any students to display. Okay, some generic message to let the user know there are no students in that list or no students in that class, basically, right? So in those cases we can use this ng template. Okay, and the second directive we have is ng container. Okay, so what this will do, okay, ng container is basically it doesn't do anything. It's like, it's like a span tag. Okay, it will not basically block anything. It will not basically occupy space in your browser, or it will not add padding or margin in your HTML. So it is basically a simple container, simple ng directive. So that will be used in order to basically group certain tags or group certain elements. Okay, so if we see this example, right? So here what we have ngIf and we have ngFor. Okay, and we are basically what we are doing here is, if this is not null, okay, the details field is not null, then only apply ng for on it. Okay. So basically, let's say if it has some elements, then if this is true, and this will be executed. Okay. Let info of details. Let's say it has three details, three sections, and the three sections will be executed in this for loop for 3 times, and it will show the content for each detail section. But if this is null, here the exception will come, right? So that's the reason we're checking. If this is null, then don't render this thing. Don't render this section at all. If it is not null, then only go for loop. This is what we are telling. But what will happen if we have these two structural directives on a single tag? Then Angular will complain that you cannot use two structural tags in on one tag. Okay. So in that case, what we can do is you can basically separate it out, the ng details and the for loop, the ng if and the ng for, and then you can achieve that. I mean, you can basically display that. Okay, that is the one way. And the second one is, if you use this one, what will happen? This is div tags, right? So div tags will take these are block tags, so blocking tags. It will basically it will consume one line of your browser body section, right? So if you use the ng container, so it will not basically add any extra element. Okay, that's the beauty of it. It's very simple element, right? So I'm using ng container instead of div here, and then I'm checking if it is the details is null or not here, and if it is not null, then go into the ng container and display this, or like execute this part. If this is null, then this content will not be rendered, and basically it will not execute this for loop because this details is null. Now, this is the use of ng container. Okay, ng container you can use anywhere you want, where you don't want to show any element. Okay, here what will happen? If this is become true, then it will show two div tags. But here, if this becomes true, it will show only one tag because it will not add any tag to replace ng container. Only display this tag, whatever inside the ng container. So you can use ng container wherever you want, without worrying about the basically the div tags and other tags will consume one block of one line, and then they'll have a default padding and they'll have default margin. If you take paragraph tag, it will have a default margin and the some CSS overhead, right? But where you use ng container, it doesn't have any such things. That's just like a plain tag. It will not come with any baggage. And coming to the third one is basically ng content. Okay, there's a difference between ng container and ng content. Both are entirely different. Okay, the names might look similar, but both are entirely different. The ng container will basically to render some data, but ng content is used to project content. Okay, I'll come to that part, but let's see the difference between the first two we already saw. Okay, so ng template and ng container. Okay, the main difference is ng template will not render any data or any HTML in the tag, okay, unless it is referred somewhere like this. But whereas when ng container, it will basically render data regardless of it is in ng container. Okay, let's say you don't have this condition, ng if you don't have ng if condition, right? So now what will happen? Every time when you open that page, this part will be executed. Okay, but let's say you put the same thing inside the ng template, then this part will not be executed because ng template is like, you know, it's a it will not be executed by default by the Angular, but whereas the ng container will be executed by default. And Then okay, that's the difference between ng content and container and ng template. And coming to the third tag, ng content. Okay, so ng content basically is to project the content into Angular components. What does that mean? Okay, let's say you have a a component, okay, called let's say this one, app child. Okay, in the app child, you're basically so far we saw how to use a component. You can use the component by using the component selector, right? The component selector is app-child, and then immediately you close that app child there. Okay, you don't have this kind of HTML inside any of your component HTML like in the example we saw so far, right? We saw many examples how to use component, but we did not use this kind of HTML between the component tag or component element. Okay, so now what is the meaning of this? So now what is the meaning of this is, now I want to project this content, project this div tag in my app child. Okay, in my app child using the ng content tag. Okay, so how can I achieve that? Now in the parent component, okay, assume that you have a parent component. In the parent component, or assume that you have app component. In the app component, you're basically using this app child component like this, and you have a div section inside that, and you want to render that div section in the actual app child component. For that, what we can do, in app child component, this child component, you can have any HTML like this, or like bottom also you can have any HTML, but you should have this ng-content element, okay, or the directive. So when you have this ng content directive, now what will happen is, from the app component, when you put any HTML or anything in between this app shell component, this content will be coming into the child component, and here in place of ng content, it will try to display whatever HTML you have here, right? So in place of this. Okay, so that is how you can project content from parent component into the child component. This is called the projection. So did you get it? Like what is the use of this content projection? Content projection is nothing but you want to project some custom HTML from the parent component into the child component. Okay? So that is the use of ng content. Let's say you have multiple sections. Okay, so you can have section, this is, assume that this is section 1, you might have another section also, and you want to project those two sections in some different places in your app child. Okay, okay, let's take a scenario then. Let's say you have question answer component. Okay, question answer component. In the question answer component, there will be a question section, and the second part will be your answer section, right? A question and answer. Your basically your application will display list of question answers. So in that case, my app child will have a section for my question and a section for my answer. Okay, so these two sections, like question answer sections, basically will be provided by the parent component itself. So okay, so for each question I have this set, and I'll provide a question in one tag, and I'll provide answer in the second tag, and the two sections will be displayed respectively using the child component.html. In that cases, how we can basically tell Angular to use a specific ng content for a specific scenario. Like this content is for question, and there will be another ng content which will render the answer part, right? So for that, you have to give names for that content. Okay, here I am using H1. Okay, in the H1 I gave this name as input, and in H2 we have form field, and third one has these two references. Now in my child component, what I can do is I can basically use this select attribute, and I show I say this thing, right? The input comma form field. So what I'm telling Angular is take these two and then display in place of this ng content. Okay. But let's say you want to have we took the question answer example, right? So you have for question separate section, and for answer separate, because question will be displayed in one color and answer will be displayed in another color. So here in the app child, what you can do is you can say, excuse, you can say h1, and you can put question, and you can write whatever question you have, and second one is your answer, and you have answer reference. This is reference name. Okay, these they are reference names, just like how ng template has reference names. This is reference name, and here you can write your question, and here you can write your answer. Okay, here in this ng content, what you can do is ng content select equal to question here. Okay, only question. So that then this one will go to this part, and then in the second line you can have another ng content, and you can put select equal to this answer. Okay, assume that you have answer here, then answer will go into the second ng content. You can have different color, or you can have different font size for that one, and for this question part you can have different color and different size. Okay, so that is how you can use ng content. So this is basically for projecting the content into the parent component. Okay, so any doubts so far in this three template tags, template directives?
No, sir.
Okay, so you got it, right? So basically ng template is used for keeping your template aside, and when you need it, only that time you can basically pull it with the reference name and then show it. Okay, wherever you want. But ng container is like a container tag, and where you can put HTML under this tag, and when it executes, right, so it will not leave any tag in place of ng container. Ng container will be removed, and only whatever content you have inside the ng container will be displayed. Excuse me. And the third one is ng content. Ng content tag will be used just for projecting the content into the child tag. Okay, from parent tag to child tag, you can project the content. Okay, so coming back to this topic, I think we covered the template introduction, and then this part, the ng container, ng template, and ng content also. Okay, so the other thing we have is we don't have content for this, but let's try to execute these examples. Okay, how to basically the same way we use the ng if, right? So for ng template we use ng if, in the else part we basically use the ng template reference so that it will be executed. But the same way we can have we can use the template outlet to render ng template tag. Okay, so and not only in ng template, in ng I mean in the template, basically in your class also you can render, not render, I mean you can reference the ng template reference. Okay, basically if you use the view child directive, you can get the reference of the template. Okay, so that will be used in order to show model pop-ups or some custom component, right? So we'll basically see that, but let's try to execute these examples we saw. Okay, let's see how this will be executed. Let me go here and let me go to the app component. In app component, I don't have anything else except the router outlet. Let me paste this. and I have to change this to this. Okay, so let me put inside a paragraph tag. Okay, so now first it will display this tag, and then because this is false, we hard coded this one. It will go to the else part and it will display this one. Okay, let me put this here in h1 tag. Right, done. So let me go to the browser and execute this. Okay, I think we have router configuration for the home page or for the empty page. Okay, so now it is showing first thing is ng template content, and then it is showing should be displayed. Okay, that should be displayed coming from the template part from here, because this is false. If we change this to true, then this part will be displayed. Okay, shouldn't be displayed. Now let's do one thing. Let's remove this. Let me remove that else part and let me save it. So now what will happen? It will not display anything but this first paragraph. Okay. Now let me remove this as well. Okay. It is showing this part and this part. Okay. So this part and this part, because we don't have any structural directives, or we don't have any other directives. But if you see, this ng template is not getting displayed, or it is not getting rendered, because ng template will not render anything, right? So only when you use this reference somewhere, only that time this will be rendered. Okay, so let's do the ng container. Okay, so let me use some h1 tag and say ng container, coming from ng container directive. Save it and go here. If you see the difference between ng template and ng container, right? The ng template by default will not show anything. Okay, but ng container will show whatever inside this tag. Okay, there is no difference between having basically a div and ng container. Okay, so only thing is you have this div will be basically part of your template like this. But whereas if you have ng container, if you have ng container, that ng container is not getting displayed here. Okay, only h1 tag is getting displayed, right? So like this. Okay, so we can use this ng container for anything, like you can have structural directives, ng if true. So if it is true, it will display the h1 tag. If it is false, it will not display anything. Even that ng container tag also it will not display. Okay, that is completely erased from the DOM structure. Okay, and let's go to the third one. Okay, so for the third one we have to have some component. Okay, let's use this hello component, because it doesn't have anything, right? It's a plain component. Instead of creating a new component again, we can basically reuse that existing component. So we have hello box here, and then I want to have ng content, and ng content is closed, and let me say hello. worked. Okay, so in these two tags, in between these two HTML elements, I want to show my content. Okay, coming from app component. So here what I have to use, I have to use app let's see what is the tag name we have. App hello. Okay, showing some error. Component then verify is part of his module. Okay, I think our app hello is part of some different module. Okay, I think it is part of orange module. Okay, let me remove from the orange module and let me make part of app module here. Done. Okay. Now go to my app component. In here, I'm rendering app hello, and I can say not P. Let me say H1. This is coming from app component. Let me save it, and let me go to the browser and see. This one is basically coming from the app component. Okay, but where it is getting executed, this is executed in app hello. Okay, we are sending this tag from app component into the app hello. In app hello, basically we are rendering that content. App module and go to hello component, and here say in between these two hello work and hello work, we are basically rendering the ng content. Okay, so between hello works and hello work, we are rendering whatever we are sending from the app module or like app component. Okay, so here you can see in app hello, we have paragraph tag, we have second paragraph tag, in between we have h1 tag. Okay, this h1 tag is coming from the app component from here. Okay, not only one tag, you can have as many things as you want, and you go there and see between these two paragraph tags, all that HTML is coming from the app component. Okay, so any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, okay, so yeah, so tomorrow we'll see the template outlet, and or we can basically try to finish this now itself. Okay, so let me
Okay.
remove the app hello, and let me remove this one. Let me remove this one also. Okay, so the router outlet is basically the template outlet basically to render a different ng templates. Okay, we can have ng template outlet. Okay, ng template outlet we can basically use the template name. We go and see. So instead of just we used the ng template inside the if at directive, right? The structural directive.
Structural
So
data.
if we use it in if else, okay. In the else section we use the reference name so that the ng template is getting displayed. But here instead of using it in the if else condition, we are using it as the template outlet. Okay, the template outlet is basically a kind of directive where we can give the ng template reference. It will basically render that out. Okay, that will render that out. Instead of using div, you can basically use ng container also. I can use ng container also. So it will work. So the difference between using div and ng container is if you use div, it will basically put this component inside the div. But if you use ng container, it will not use any other tag. It will just try to render only this part. Okay, that is the difference. Now, what is the advantage of this one? Okay, what is the advantage of this ng template outlet? Let's say you have multiple components. Okay, and let me change this name. We are using the same name since last couple of examples. Let me say tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. Okay, I have 3 tabs. I'm saying tab 1 here just to identify which tab is getting displayed. Tab 2, tab 3. So now here I can basically use tab 1. If you see, tab 1 is getting displayed. If I change to tab 2, tab 2 will be displayed. The same way, tab 3 also. Okay. So now what I can do is I can have 3 tags or I can have 3 buttons. Tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So here I can say on clicking this, show tab 1 or like show tab. I'll call that show tab method, and same way this also. Now I can send tab 1 as input, tab 2 and tab 3. So now this we don't have this show tab method, right? So let me add that show tab. Let me remove this. Let me add this method, and it will take string as a parameter. Tab name. Okay, it's the string. And let me have a variable here. Tab subtype string. Okay. So whenever this method is called, I can say this dot tab equal to tab name. Okay. So let me copy this, and instead of the hard coding tab variable directly, or the template reference variable, I can say tab. Oh, okay, sorry. I think we should not use the string in place of template reference. So this expects template reference. Okay, all these are template references. If I hover mouse right, it's showing template reference. So in that case, what we have to do is we have to, instead of this one, we have to basically send the template reference. Instead of sending it as a string, we should send template reference directly. Okay, it's throwing error because in my method I have to change this to template reference, yes, of type any. And here also, instead of that, I can have template reference of type any. Okay, now no errors gone. So what we are doing is, from my template, I'm calling this method and then sending the template reference. So this is like just like a reference variable here. It doesn't mean if we put hash and some name, doesn't mean it is some different thing. It is just like a variable name assigned to this template. Okay, and tab 2 is for this and tab 3 is for this. Now I'm calling that show tab method, passing the this template variable name called tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. If you go to and instead of hard coding the tab reference here, like tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, what I'm doing is I'm just using tab. Okay, so the tab is coming from the app component, this tab. Okay, so dynamically, when user clicks on any button, I'm sending the respective tab reference name and I'm just assigning to this one. Okay, so dynamically, whatever tab reference change will get rendered inside this ng container. So now I have 3 tabs. If I click on first one, tab 1 will be displayed. If I click on 2, tab 2 will be displayed. The same tab 3. Okay. You see here, I have 3 buttons and it is showing only the third tab content. If I click on second one, it will change to tab 2. Click on first one, it will change to tab 1. Okay. So this is another way where we can use this templates. Okay. If we have multiple tabbed section, in the tabbed section, you can basically use like this. You can say instead of basically using this way, you can put ng if and here and display it, right? Based on user selection, you change some variable and display the tab content. But this is a cleaner approach, meaning you don't have to keep these templates here. Okay, you can put anywhere in the page, somewhere bottom also, it doesn't matter. Only thing is you'll have the button names here or the tab names, and then where your content or tab content you want to display here, you can put it here, and still it will work. But if you use ngIf here, and in the ngIf if you want to put all this HTML, then it will look clumsy, because first line you'll put ngIf and then you'll have your HTML, and then somewhere here you'll have another ngIf, and somewhere here you'll have another ngIf. You have to keep on going that way. But this is without using the ngIf and ngIf sections. This is very cleaner approach. Okay. And other one is getting template reference. Okay, so far we saw getting template reference, this one, inside the template, inside your app component HTML, inside your HTML template. But how to get these reference variables inside your class? Okay, so now I don't want to basically pass from here these variables. I'll get this directly inside the class itself. Okay, here what I can do is I can say view child, and in the view child I can say tab 1. Okay, so now that view child directive will be will look for tab 1 template reference variable in your HTML here, and when it finds that, it will basically create this variable and assign that reference to here. Okay, so same way you can have three variables of type template reference, and you're looking for template 1, template 2, and template 3 inside template. And here you can get tab number. Okay, and that is of type number. If tab number equals to 1, then this dot tab equals to tab 1. So we don't have tab variable yet. So let me create a tab variable. This dot tab 1. Same way I can have for tab 2, tab 2, tab 3, tab 3. Here I have to pass numbers: first tab, second tab, third tab. Okay, no errors gone. And let me go here and see if it is working. Okay, so we achieved same output but using different approach. The first approach was to send the template reference variable directly from the template to your class. But here what we are doing, we are getting the reference directly in the component itself using the view child directive. So we are telling view this child, okay, tab 1 child inside your app component or inside the component associated with this component. Okay, template associated with this component. Now we get this temporary reference variables, and then whenever the tab number comes, we assign this tab variable with that respective template reference variable. Okay, so these are the two ways we can basically use like change the template outlet dynamically. Okay, this template outlet basically will use the tab variable, and the tab variable if it is pointing to the this one, it will render this HTML. If it is pointing to tab 2, it will render this one, and the same way this is for the third tab. Okay, so we also covered how to basically get reference of template reference inside the class using the view child, right? So that is our next topic, getting template reference in class. Okay, so this way you can basically all the reusable pieces of templates you can keep in one place, maybe bottom of your the component, like this. So this is bottom of the component, right? So here I'm keeping all these templates, and wherever I need, right, I can reuse this. Excuse me. I can reuse this little reusable sections wherever I want. Okay. So any questions so far? Sahana, I can't
Yeah.
hear you.
Oh no, sir. Sir, no doubts. Sir.
Okay, okay. So okay, today let's conclude this session. And
Okay.
you said you have some doubts, right? So we can basically go ahead and discuss those. Let me stop the recording.